Happy New Year, Glovelies, and welcome back to Season 2 of Glove Actually. I'm Courtney.
I'm Hallie.
And I'm Melissa.
And thank you so much for joining us for the very first episode of the 2026 new year. This week and this year, obviously, we have lots to talk about. This week, we're going to celebrate the 2025 World Series champions and get into some Dodgers talk. And later, you better hold on, Spider Monkeys, because we will be joined by a very special guest. The one and only Michael Welch, who you might know better from his prolific acting career on the big screen and the small screen, most notably the Twilight Saga, as well as his passionate fandom of the Los Angeles Dodgers. But as always, if there's anything you want us to talk about here on the podcast, be sure to leave it in the comments and be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the Glove Actually podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to turn on post notifications to stay in the loop when we post new episodes every Wednesday. All right, Glovelies, before we get into the best part of this episode, let's kick things off with our Pookies of the Week. Hallie, who's your Pookie of the Week this week?
My Pookie this week is Stephanie Meyer, author of the Twilight books. I think I am not alone in the books altering my brain chemistry as a child. And then the movies also altering my brain chemistry as a young teen. Thank you so much, Stephanie Meyer, for delivering one of the most iconic pieces of baseball media ever.
Period. Melissa, who's your Pookie of the Week this week?
I'm going to go MLB. Since it is our first episode of the new year, I'm going to kick it off and make the entirety of the Colorado Rockies my Pookie of the Week. Okay. The Rockies had a rough season last year.
Yes,
came in last place in the league by a lot. So I've been paying attention.
They were not as bad as the 2024 Chicago White Sox.
They were better, but I still
have something to be proud of.
But I still felt really bad for them. And I've been paying attention to their trade and their free agency updates, and there's not a lot happening. They're losing more players than they're gaining players. So I'm a fan.
I still think they have more players than the Mets, though.
We'll get to that later. Don't worry. Oh, the poor Mets. But anyways, I am a fan of an underdog. So I hope that their 2026 season is much better than last year. Come on, guys. Let's have a better year. As long as you don't beat the Orioles, you can beat whoever you want. Have a good year for 2026.
Love
Go
it.
Rockies.
Perfect. Well, since we're talking Dodgers, my Pookie this week is my favorite Dodger, Kike Hernandez. He had a ton of memorable, silly moments last year that we've talked about on the podcast before. His bobblehead photo was one of my faves. And also, obviously, the double fisting the popsicles. He also steps up when the Dodgers need a pitcher. So you will see him on the bump occasionally. And he's not half bad. He almost got sent to Dodger heaven by Andy Pages during Game 7 of the World Series, but luckily made it out unscathed. He has such an engaging personality, and he's arguably the silliest goose in all of the MLB. So he's really fun to watch on and off the field. And for those reasons and many more, Kike Hernandez, you are my Pookie of the Week this week. All right, Glovelies, we want to hear from you. Who is your Pookie of the Week this week? Be sure to let us know in the comments and tag your Pookie if you can. All right, Glovelies. This will go down as one of the most exciting days in Glove Actually recorded history thus far. We are joined today by the one and only, the very talented television and film star, Michael Welch. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I am thrilled and honored to be here with all of you and all of the Glovelies to talk a little Dodger baseball and a little Twilight. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So I have one very important question. Where the hell have you been, Loca?
I'm here. I'm around. Listen, the Twilight movies, it's been a minute. I don't know if you're aware. It's been a good probably 2 generations of Twilight fans that have been born and raised and indoctrinated into this series at this point. So it's staying alive. But we're all like I'm old enough to play Bella's dad at this point.
Maybe one day you will. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
That'd be really fun, actually.
So I've got to know, did you pick a Pookie of the Week this week?
Of course I do. I'm gonna come onto this show empty-handed. My Pookie of the Week, and this might be slightly dated now that we're into 26, but it's going to be Paul Dano. This one of the absolute finest actors of my generation, and just an absolute mensch too. I knew him through friends of mine years ago. I stayed at his apartment in New York once, and just a sweetheart. And he took me to some really good shows. He took me to the best concert I've ever been to in my life. Just some random jazz fusion concert at a Hilton ballroom once. So I will always be grateful to him for that. I'm sure maybe if Tarantino got to spend a little time with him, he'd feel different. But no, I mean he's a brilliant actor and a wonderful man. So Paul Dano, Pookie of the week, Pookie of the year.
So, Lovelies, if you're millennials like us, or if you haven't been living under a rock, you probably remember Michael from his role as Mike Newton in all 5 of the Twilight Saga films, but you may also recognize him from some of the most famous titles in pop culture history, including Frasier, Joan of Arcadia, Malcolm in the Middle, Law and Order SVU, and he's also had great roles in films like Hot Seat, A Soldier's Revenge with the iconic Val Kilmer. And I think my favorite credit on your resume is Hansel and Gretel Get Baked with Carrie Elways.
Oh, yeah.
But in addition to all that, little do you know, listeners, that Underd is a husband and father of 2 with a heart that beats blue for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So tell me a little bit about what got you interested in the Dodgers.
Well, I'm an LA guy. I'm maybe one of the few born and bred, raised out here. A big sports guy. I grew up, I played basketball and tennis. My dad was the basketball coach. I was point guard every year. So we were a big sports family. And I just, being in LA from an early age, it was Lakers, Dodgers, Chargers. I mean, that was, my whole life. I will say I was not as fully indoctrinated into baseball as a youngin, mostly because I was terrible at it. But I always loved the Dodgers. I loved going to the games and I had a mild understanding of it. And what really kickstarted my super fandom was a young Cuban bull that they taught to swing a baseball bat named Yasiel Puig. You guys remember Yasiel Puig?
That's definitely a name that I remember as I was growing up, but because I was East Coast and I was Orioles focused, obviously that wasn't someone that was on my team, but I remember the name.
Yeah, so this is a guy that when they brought him up, for people maybe that aren't in LA, like don't realize, like it was so exciting. He was such a dynamic, enigmatic player. Like the first 2 months before they figured out how to pitch to him, this dude was out there hitting 2-3 dingers a night, and he had this just incredible personality. So it became must-watch TV, and I started watching the Dodgers every night. And basically, my baseball friend Luke, I would just, every time I had a question about baseball, I would just text Luke, and every night I was asking 2-3 questions, like what's a good baseline for OPS? What does FIP mean? If a guy gets hit by a pitch, does it count towards his on base percentage? So that was like I learned everything I needed to know about baseball over the course of that year as I followed this young, talented man. And then by happenstance, that also was when the Dodgers started their streak of winning the division every single year for now almost 2 decades. So I went all in, and now I'm like bleed blue for life, like no matter what at this point. But that's kind of what kickstarted it for me.
I love that. Who are some of your other favorite Dodger players, past and present?
Yeah, I mean, what's so great about this stretch that they're on is that they've had complete roster turnover at least twice. I don't want to brag. I mean, these rosters have gone from, you could literally go position by position, and in every generation of this, like first base, there's Adrian Gonzalez, which went into Cody Bellinger, which went into Freddie Freeman, or, third base where it was Juan Uribe, who then became Justin Turner, who is now Max Muncy. And, so there's like so many great players to choose from, even just from these last like 15 years. I will say Kike is always a fan favorite. I don't know. I can't think of any historical comp for this guy in any sport where he is just like a very, with all due respect, average to below average player in the regular season and then becomes Reggie Jackson in the playoffs. I don't understand how this works, but they bring him on every year, and they always play him come October, and he always comes through for us. But I will say, I think probably Justin Turner is the guy. My wife used to call him Old Kind Eyes. Just a sweetheart. He did great work with like veterans and stuff locally in LA. So yeah, that's from the past. I would probably pick him. And now present, I mean, there's just so many dudes to choose from. Obviously, like Shohei's the greatest athlete in the history of the known universe. So probably got to start with that. But yeah, there's really no one to like hate on this team, at least from my perspective.
The great thing about the Dodgers organization is that they're good at going out and getting players who, when they show up every day, they're just good people, and they have a lot of harmony as a team because of that. And not only that, they're also talented players that are able to win championships and bring their city and their fans a lot of pride. So I really love that. Are you hoping to, or have you already started to pass your love of baseball onto your daughters?
I'm trying to, yeah. What I do is every night after the Dodgers win a game, I go, girls, I have great news. And then they go, the Dodgers won? And I go, yeah. And we start jumping up and down.
That's cute.
And I'm trying to do the same thing with my Lakers and my Chargers, but I'll be honest, the Dodgers win a lot more. So when I
statistically,
yeah. So when I start with girls, I have great news. Their first guess is always the Dodgers won, and then I'll have to like correct them and say, no, sweetie, it's basketball season. So yeah, I'm doing my best, but so far their interests seem to be the stuff that their mom was into, which was like dance, cheerleading, and stuff like that. But I'm doing my best.
I'll say this: that's my daughter too. She's 12, and my husband took her to her first game 2 years ago, and she became obsessed. I mean, so obsessed that she has 2 fat heads on her wall of 2 different players. Like, she loves going to the games. That's like her thing that she does with her dad. She actually got upset because me and my son started going to the games. She's like, I just want to be there with daddy. It's like, sorry, we want to go too. You're gonna have to share him.
Oh man, I'm rooting for your Orioles, by the way, man. I hope that it comes together over there. I really do. I've always I don't know why I've had a soft spot for that team. I love Baltimore.
So Michael, I know that the Dodgers have just signed Edwin Diaz, so I hesitate to ask this, but what do you think is the biggest obstacle facing them for the 2026 season?
Boy, they're pretty good. I mean, listen, we still need an outfielder, so we'll see what they want to do with that. Honestly, the biggest obstacle for the Dodgers, for the most part, is just injuries. We tend to be pretty injury prone, especially on the pitching staff, but they seem to have done a better job of not prioritizing the regular season so much and making sure these guys are ready for October. And the other thing that I would say is that baseball is just weird, and it's rare that the quote unquote best team actually wins it. There's just so many other crazy factors that go into. I mean, let's be honest, a lodged ball was probably the difference between us being champions or not. You know what I mean? Baseball is just so crazy that this is why dynasties are so hard. It's why it's never happens. So yeah, I would say just our biggest challenges, we still got a little bit of work to do to fill out the roster, but really it's just injuries and what the baseball gods feel like doing this year.
Okay, that's fair.
True.
So another question, just to kind of follow that up, the Dodgers kind of they have a dynasty going on right now. Do you think that 3 championships in 6 years is too many?
Well, I mean, listen, the Jeter Yankees won 3 in a row and 4 out of 5 years and 5 total over the course of that run. So we still have to get at least 3. We're not even halfway through if we're going to pass the Yankees of that era. And, honestly, if we want to take it a step further, the Yankees have 27 championships, I believe, total, and the Dodgers currently are sitting at 9. So we have a little bit of work to do to catch up there. So I'll tell you what, let's check back in 25 years. If the Dodgers have won 20 out of those 25, I might reassess and say this is getting to be a bit much. But until then, it would be my preference for them to continue winning as many as possible. And by the way, if you look at the roster, these are not spring chickens at this point.
Of course.
This window is not going to last forever. So I love what they're doing. They're just saying, look, we have probably realistically another 3-4 years to try to rack it. This is a potentially historic run. Let's just keep going all in. Let's defer as much money as possible. Let's just Edwin Diaz is out there. Great. Bring him on. I mean, I really appreciate that this organization is they're very serious about winning as many as possible, especially we have, again, the greatest baseball player who ever lived on the team for another 8 years. So, hey, let's maximize success as much as we can.
Perfect. Well, just to kind of transition into the twilight of it all, if you could sum up your Twilight experience in 3 words, what would it be?
Ooh, insane, fun. Can I say insane again?
Sure.
Yes.
Can I make an insane sandwich?
Yeah.
Listen, there's nothing that can prepare you for that kind of experience. I mean, it's such a lightning in a bottle kind of thing.
Of course.
To be a part of. There's no class to sort of teach you how to navigate through that stuff. In a sense, I was kind of lucky because like Mike Newton, I mean, with respect, somewhat of a minor character, but I was also like in all the movies. So in that sense, I kind of got to ride the coattails a bit of the folks that really were in the craziness of it all. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's like I'm super grateful that I was a part of it. It was really the thing that was most fun, honestly, was just going back to be able to like hang out with my friends, every summer. I mean, it became like a summer camp where you go see the same people every year, which is not generally how movies work. It's kind of a one and done, and sometimes you stay in touch, sometimes you don't. It's all that stuff. But like, yeah, just knowing that it's like, oh, yep, it's that time of year again, time to head up to the Pacific Northwest or Vancouver and hang out with my friends. As far as like the fans go and everything, I never had a bad experience. Always enjoyed those interactions, and I still do. But yeah, I will say like it's nice kind of now that we're a little bit removed from the hurricane of it all, where it's like people still love this thing. They're still as passionate about it as they've ever been. But it kind of doesn't come with a lot of the insanity that surrounded it before. So yeah, really, really incredible thing to be a part of.
Well, that actually kind of leads me into my next question. So I know that you're also big into the Comic-Con scene. You are now able to experience those events as a celebrity guest, and going back to each movie where you're like, oh, I it's like summer camp. I get to see my friends again. Is that sort of kind of the same experience?
Oh, totally. Yeah. And frankly, that's like the only time I get to see these cats anymore is like, when we do events together and stuff. Yeah, no, the Comic-Con stuff is super interesting for a lot of reasons. I find it fascinating because like it really exemplifies just sort of how fractured things are in terms of like the pop culture now. And I don't say that with a negative connotation, but just like, I mean, the last event that I went to, it was like me with a bunch of my crew from Z Nation, which was a zombie show I was on. And then it was like some of the cast from the original Hocus Pocus. And then it was like a bunch of actors from Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's just like, so now more than ever, like fandom, it really is kind of a choose your own adventure in a sense. Like there's not this sort of natural sort of social hierarchy that was more established and in place in years past. So I find that fascinating. But in terms of the actual like experience of going and doing it, yes, hanging out with old friends, and then just like I said, I always enjoy hanging out with fans and just seeing. It's such a humbling thing to like be a part of something that has that kind of effect on people, because I'm also a super fan of the things that I'm interested in. So I get it, and to be on the other side of it is just it just makes me feel super duper grateful.
Of course. So out of all of the different projects that you've had the chance to be a part of, what's the project that you have found the most fulfilling?
That's such a good question. I mean, if I may, I might pivot slightly and say that like the experiences that I found most fulfilling during the height of the Twilight movies, I got to do a USO tour through Germany and hang out with, it was really cool. Hang out with mostly the families, because I don't know if people know, there's so many like families that live out there in addition to the soldiers. So that was incredible. And then also being able to parlay my connection to this very popular thing into, being able to raise some money and awareness for causes that I'm super passionate about. And the main one is Thirst Project, which is this great organization. They build clean water wells all around the world. So because I was like in these movies that people like, I was able to sort of use that and like raise money and build wells so that people can like have clean water. I mean, so stuff like that is what actually like fills my cup more than anything else. And then as far as the projects go, I mean, it's all, listen, I love any opportunity to act and get to do this. I find every part of the process to be like inspiring, and after all that, it's been almost 30 years and it's still as exciting as it's ever been. And then if something happens to be good, or if people happen to enjoy it, then that's just kind of gravy. But really, I just like doing it because I like doing it.
That's so nice.
It is so cool.
All right. Well, I would love to give you, actually, Melissa's going to give you a rapid fire quiz, and then we're going to get your takes on our top 5 this week. So Melissa,
I get to do the rapid fire quiz. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Favorite sport?
Basketball.
Okay. Favorite sports team?
Ooh, it's the Lakers, Dodgers. I cannot choose. That's like choosing children. And then the Chargers are like 1A.
I have said that on many occasions. I am for that answer. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Favorite current active athlete?
The unicorn, Shohei Ohtani.
All right. Favorite athlete of all time?
Well, growing up LA kid, it's hard to pick anyone but Kobe Bryant.
All right.
Yeah.
Favorite role that you've been cast in?
Favorite role?
Mhm.
Let's go with Mac Thompson, Zombie Killer on Z Nation. That was really
All
fun.
right.
Nice.
Okay. Your most memorable on-screen moment?
Well, I think the one that people remember the most would be the movie theater three-way date between Mike, Bella, and Jacob, where he
I
vomits
need
in
to
the
go
theater.
home.
He needs to go home. Yep, he sure does.
Poor Mike.
Courtney and I say that all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, but the one that people seem to give me the most credit for as far as like good acting was probably my monologue in Scandal from a few years ago.
All right.
Ooh, okay.
Your favorite ballpark snack?
Minchilada.
Okay.
Ooh.
Here's
Okay.
the one that always trips people up a bit first. If you played baseball, what would your walk-up song be?
Hero by Enrique Iglesias.
No way!
Great choice.
Could you imagine? How much fun would that be?
That's so random and funny. I
Now
love
batting
that.
cleanup. Would you dance if I ask you to dance? I mean, come on.
Wow, I love that.
Perfect.
That's a great answer. I don't know if we'll
Yeah,
ever
thank
get
you.
one that good ever again.
I
Okay,
know.
favorite sports memory.
Oh, T-ball, bottom of the sixth inning. That was the end of the game back then. Walk-off grand slam. So win the game.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Ooh,
T-ball.
yeah.
Good for you.
Right?
The Los Angeles Dodgers, I think I know who's going to fill out your roster.
There you
Yeah, exactly.
go. There's a slugger
It's
right
not-
there.
It's not Taylor Lautner.
I can get around the bases. That's all I can promise you.
That is too
Oh my
funny.
gosh. Perfect. Okay. So moving on, Glovelies, we are going to dive right into our top 5 of the week. And this week's top 5 is going to be our top 5 favorite Twilight characters. So, all right, Michael, would you like to go first and give us your number 5?
Sure. My number 5 Twilight character is Bella's dad, magnificently
Yeah.
portrayed by Billy Burke. And what I loved so much about him is that he was like the old grizzled vet on the set, where he didn't give a hoot about any of that, but like the craziness around any of it. He was just like, and in like a good way, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the kind of energy you need on a set like that. Just a very grounding presence, and just a great actor and a great dude. So yeah, Billy Burke, Bella's dad, number 5.
That's so funny. I can
Fantastic.
totally see that actually, just like in the way he played in the movie too. It's just like,
Exactly.
I love it.
All right, Melissa, who is your number 5?
All right, so I'm going to explain mine real fast. I did I guess technically 2 number 5s, because my favorites when I first read the series in 2008 are definitely different because I just finished rereading. So who my favorites are now are definitely different because I've matured and grown quite a bit. So 2008 Melissa would have picked Jacob Black because I was Team Edward, of course. So this may be surprising. It is going to be a tie between Charlie Swan and Rosalie Hale, if you can
Okay.
believe Rosalie. I appreciate Rosalie's point of view a little bit more now as an adult. I think she kind of she had it on point. She didn't want anything to mess with her family. She was wiser and older, and she knew where she was coming from. And I feel like
I don't think a single character has gone through as many horrible things as she did.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
she definitely had the most traumatic backstory out of everybody. So
I love that.
girl.
All right, Hallie, who's your number 5?
So my top 5 are more of the concept of a character. So
Yes.
yeah,
Hallie has expressed that her list is going to be more abstract.
yeah. But one of my favorite characters, my number 5 favorite character, is the truck.
Stop.
I'm so glad I didn't ask you about these beforehand.
That was on my board, I'll be honest.
Oh,
Thank you. Michael gets it.
Oh my God.
But so many things happen to the truck. So many things happen in the truck. That truck that's a part of the family.
It
I mean,
is.
that truck is in a pivotal scene in the first.
And
movie.
Yeah.
And I suspect it was the top diva on set.
As Bella once said, don't hate the truck.
That's right.
Yeah. My number 5 is Jacob Black. I was 100% Team Jacob when I was in high school. And when the films were coming out, but after rewatching the films and rereading the books as an adult, it is, first of all, it's very clear that Edward and Bella are endgame. As much as you want Jacob to end up happy, Bella was way too into Edward to ever make that happen. And I also think Jacob was like a little manipulative and really just kind of preyed a lot on, this is what Edward has done wrong to you. But I was 100% drinking the Taylor Lautner Kool-Aid when I was in high school. So the only thing that I regret is that I no longer have my Team Jacob t-shirt that I got from Hot Topic. Otherwise, I would have worn it on this episode. So, okay, Mike, who is your number 4?
My number 4 favorite Twilight character is Anna Kendrick. I don't remember her character's name.
Jessica Stanley.
Jessica Stanley.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, I just think, listen, I'm gonna sound like a Johnny Come Lately now that she's like the, one of the biggest movie stars in the world. But I just thought she was so funny and brought so much like life to that role, and it's just so fun to be around on set. So I was a huge fan of hers from the start. So she's one of those people. She just has that like on-screen presence, and she just shows up on screen, and you just feel good. You feel like, okay, I can get down with whatever I'm watching here. So. Yeah.
Love it. Melissa, who is your number 4?
2008 Melissa and 2026 Melissa picks Emmett Cullen as her number 4. I love Emmett. I think he's funny. He's funny in the movie and he's funny in the books. I think he's just like one of the best characters. And I definitely like one of my favorite scenes I completely forgot for him was when Edward first brings her to the house and they're making Italian. And Rosalie asks, does she even like Italian? He's like, her name's Bella. And then he waves the knife at her when she walks in. I love that scene. It's so funny. So it's
so good. Love it. Hallie, who is your number 4?
My number 4.
What is your number 4, rather?
My number 4 is the fan in science class that blows Bella's stink onto Edward. The catalyst for all the events of the next movie, of all the movies. I don't think there's a single character more important in the films.
Oh my gosh. Okay. My number 4 is all of Bella's friends from school who are not vampires. So in this category, Mike Newton, Jessica Stanley, Eric Yorkie, and Angela Weber. I felt that they kept the series very grounded. Mm-hmm. The fantasy elements obviously drove so much of the plot and the story. I felt that it was really important for us to remember that this was supposed to be taking place in the real world. And Bella's friends from school definitely gave it that true to life experience and that true to life perspective. I am right there with you, Michael. I loved Anna Kendrick before I saw her in this. So all of you guys added so much. And I'm not joking. Before you hopped on this call, I was telling Melissa and Hallie that I think that Mike Newton is the most quotable character from the entire franchise. There were so many times where you felt like a real kid from high school. And there are so few movies that really give that true to life feeling. So hats off to you.
Thank you. That's all very nice. And that is exactly what we were trying to do, is just bring some grounding. And we wanted it to feel like, oh yeah, like those are the kids I went to high school with. Like I know those kids. So I appreciate that. And I will say too, maybe it's because they felt more comfortable having a little more pull by the time the second movie came along. But the date scene that I just talked about a minute ago was not in the script for New Moon. And
really?
It was Kristen and Taylor who went to the director to say, you need to put this back in the movie. It's one of the, we can't afford to get rid of the humor that we have in this thing. It's very important to the overall piece. So it was because of their lobbying that ended up getting back in the movie, and we ended up filming it, and it's in there. So yeah, I mean, you have to make choices with these things, but yeah, no, you need that. You need to have some sort of grounding in like an established reality that is familiar to all of us, so that you can feel free as an audience to sort of then dive into the more supernatural elements, I think.
Of course. All right, let's get to our number 3s. Michael, who's your number 3?
All right, my number 3, I'm going to go a little abstract here as well and say the Cullen house.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That house was absolutely spectacular. It was something that we just found in the woods in the middle of nowhere. And then, of course, when we had to do the rest of the movies, we shot those in Canada. So they had to rebuild that house from scratch. They didn't plan for things like, oh, yeah, we're probably going to have to like have the same same house when we do more of these movies. I think it worked out great because that house is awesome, and I'm glad that we had it in the movie. It's kind of a perfect Cullen house. I don't know how they found that thing. It was literally in the middle of the woods. So yeah, Cullen house number 3.
Nice.
And now it's a Lego set.
Yes, it is a Lego set. Yeah.
So that's the cultural impact. Melissa, who is your number 3?
My number 3 is Carlisle Cullen. I always love Carlisle Cullen. 2008 Melissa and 2026 Melissa loves Carlisle Cullen. I really think he is just like the best balance of supportive and cautious. I just love his character in the movie and in the books. I just think he's fabulous.
I love that. Hallie, who or what is your number 3?
My number 3 favorite character is when the apple falls off the salad bar and then Rob catches it and it looks like the book cover.
It looks like the front of the book.
Yeah.
So good. Anytime I see anything like that, I'm like, hey, that's that.
Show respect to the book that made you. I love it.
Exactly. My number 3 is Alice. I thought she was a really genuine character. She was supportive of absolutely everyone. I feel like she also went above and beyond for everyone at some point during the series. She really came through as like the best friend and the sister that Bella really needed. Number 3 is Alice for me. All right, Michael, hit us with your number 2.
My number 2 favorite Twilight character of all time is Jacob's torso. Now,
Okay.
Good choice.
I believe, in it must have been New Moon when Bella, falls off a bike and gets it, like scrapes her knee or something. And then Jacob pulls over and he like, I'll help you with that. And he rips his shirt off. I was in the theater at the premiere and I laughed out loud so hard. I think I was the only one who had this reaction. But I just thought, oh man, what a great way to introduce this iconic new character.
Yeah.
Enough said.
All right, Melissa, who is your number 2?
All right, so 2008 Melissa picked Alice Cullen because what's not to love about Alice Cullen? 2026 Melissa it's a tie between Jacob and Edward. And I did that so you could see how Jacob moves up in the list. And I'm going to spoil my number 1 probably, but how Edward moves down in the list because they even out for me now in 2026. I was like all about Edward at first, and now I kind of see Edward as, super controlling. He comes off more now as a controlling parent than a boyfriend when I'm reading it. So, and then I think Jacob probably brought out the better side of Bella, the more lively side that she didn't really get to be with Edward. So they kind of even out for me, and they're both number 2.
Hallie, what is your number 2?
Emmett's bag of eggs.
Emmett's bag of hard-boiled eggs
that he brings to lunch to pretend to eat.
Oh my God.
It's no impact at all except in my heart.
No impact except for all the impact.
I was going to say, it is very possible that was just his personal bag of eggs.
I think the story is that it was his personal bag of eggs, and Catherine Hardwicke saw it and she said, "You're bringing that in as Emmett into
That's
this."
incredible.
Sounds
That's even
like
better.
the most likely scenario. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite pieces of Twilight lore.
My number 2 are both of the daddies, or all of the daddies, really. Mm-hmm. So Carlisle Cullen, Charlie Swan, Billy Black, all of the daddies. So they're all collectively my number 2. And it is it's very validating, Michael, to hear that Billy Burke brought a very grounding energy to the set. Mm-hmm. And I do feel like they, specifically Charlie, brought a more grounded energy like Bella's friends from school did, just because he was so far removed from all of the supernatural elements. Billy obviously was in the middle of the supernatural elements, as was Carlisle. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
All right. So we have now come to our number 1 picks. So, Michael, who is your number 1 pick?
Oh, such a big decision. I don't know if she gets enough love. And as the resident Mike Newton on this show, I'm gonna go with Bella Swan. I mean, listen, she's obviously the crux of this thing. I love any sort of like story that has that like fish out of water element where, it's like weird enough that you're like dealing with your parents and their situation, and you got to move to this town where you don't know anybody and you're kind of this introvert. And by the way, how perfectly cast was Kristen Stewart in this role?
Oh, so wonderful and lovely.
So that's kind of already enough to deal with. And then now all of a sudden you're thrown into this crazy world of vampires and werewolves. Oh my, I think people can take take umbrage with Bella and some of her decisions or way she deals with things. But listen, I mean, girl's what, 16, 17 years old? Like, I think she handled herself pretty well through all this. So Mike Newton, gotta do it. Bella Swan, number one.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Melissa, who is your number one?
Let's see. 2008, Melissa, number one would have been Edward Cullen, hands down. There was no book boyfriend that could ever surpass Edward Cullen in 2008. But now it's definitely Alice. I love Alice. What girl doesn't want an Alice as their best friend in their life? Who's just going to, buy you all sorts of outfits and take you shopping, and she's quirky, she's fun. Oh, and she can see into the future and see where you're going to make huge screw ups and try and help you fix that. So who doesn't want an Alice Cullen in their life?
And she's an expert event planner.
And yes,
I love that.
And if I may just add to that, Ashley Greene, who played her in the films, along with her hair, was like so perfect for that. It's kind of impossible to imagine anyone else having done it.
That is
any other hairstyle.
Yeah, I definitely think. I think Ashley Greene endeared Alice to me even more after. So after reading the books, I was already a fan of her, but I think Ashley Greene's portrayal of her just made me love her even more.
Definitely
love it. All right, Hallie, what is your number one abstract concept?
My number one favorite character from Twilight is Edward and Bella's firstborn, the Golden Onion.
I knew what it was.
Like I said, it's their firstborn.
Oh my. Yes, they did have to share it after they earned it.
Shared custody of the onion.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite additions to the film that was not in the book. I absolutely had science teachers who would do something like that. It just, I think, really grounds it into the reality of the real world.
Okay. Wrapping up our top 5, my number one is my favorite out of all of the Cullens, and that's Emmett. Michael just spoke about how Ashley Greene's portrayal of Alice kind of elevated the character, and I feel like Kellen Lutz's portrayal of Emmett just did the same thing. I really don't feel like there was a bad casting choice made in any of these films. I really loved how everyone kind of stepped up in addition to embodying the character that they read about in the book, and I'm assuming read about in the script. Kellen Lutz just had that big golden retriever energy, and he's so funny and carries a big bag of eggs into the lunchroom. So for that reason, Emmett Cullen is my number one. All right, lovelies, what do you think about our top 5 picks? Let us know who your favorite Twilight character is in the comments. All right, lovelies, before we wrap things up today, we are going to leave you with some recommended media for this week, brought to you by our very own Hallie. Take it away, Hallie.
Hello. This week we are, of course, discussing Twilight. There are so many things we could talk about with these books and films. The brain chemistry altering romance that it was so many of our first romance story that we read as kids. It was a lot of our first midnight premieres that we got to see. These books and films, I think, really changed the face of publishing and teen media for at least the next 10 years. And I think we're still kind of feeling that impact now, which how crazy is it that teen girls have so much impact over culture and society? These books and films are, of course, about a love triangle between Bella, Edward, and Jacob, and it follows them through Bella through her final 2 years of high school and beyond. Twilight specifically starts in the spring semester of high school. What a rough time to change schools, first of all. Halfway through junior year, that sounds pretty terrible to me. She, of course, is then thrust into a world that has been concealed from humans, which would be the real life vampires that do exist on the earth and the subcultures there within. She has to face settling into a new home, a new school, a new culture of students to get along with and navigate remaking friends. We see her grow from an insecure teen into a thriving young woman and young mother as well. We see her solve mysteries. We see her save her own life. We see her save the lives of her boyfriend and her best friend. This girl accomplishes a lot in a brief 18-month time period. I think what made it so engaging for all of us is we all crave that adventure when we're young. We all think that we're capable of these adult behaviors and experiences, when in reality, no one is actually ready for those events to happen. I think it's for sure once a year with Courtney that I'll rewatch them, and then I'll rewatch them by myself about 3 other times. There's something so comforting and cozy. I think it's the Pacific Northwest of it all. I think they're so lovely. There's comedy, there's action, there's drama, there's romance. There is something for everybody in these movies. Even my dad, who thought they were the silliest stories ever, was able to get into them with me as a kid.
That's impressive.
My dad does not like a lot of things. So for him to get into Twilight because he saw how much I liked it is so wonderful. And of course, we can't talk about Twilight without talking about the baseball scene.
Of course.
What a wonderful little piece of action within the film. We've gone through a lot of baseball movies on this show. The choreography of the scene is so amazing. They picked a perfect song to set it to. No notes. It's perfection.
Plus, you get a little bit of all the characters' personalities in that one scene, too.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the soundtrack, this is a question for Michael. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite song from the soundtrack?
I was considering making the soundtracks one of my top 5 favorite characters. Those soundtracks are so good. I'm a huge Radiohead fan. I have been my whole life. But the tidbit, if I may, that I thought was kind of interesting. So Rob, he's got a couple of songs in one of the soundtrack, maybe a couple, I don't remember. But I had a night with Rob. For some reason, it was just like me and Rob in a hotel room. I don't remember why or how this happened, but we're hanging out, and he was going through, like, explaining to me kind of his process of how he puts these songs together, and I just thought it was so interesting. Basically, he will do, like, the melody, for like the vocal melody, he'll lay that out first, and then just add lyrics on top of it, which I thought was such an interesting way to do it. So he'd be at the piano, and then, like, figure out that structure, and then just, like, plug in the words, after it's already been laid out, which I'd never heard of anyone doing it that way. And I just thought that was an interesting little thing.
Oh, of course.
It's very Edward Cullen of him, actually.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. 100%.
So out of curiosity, did you audition for any of the other characters in the films?
I did, yeah. So I actually went in for Edward first, which did not go well. Did not vibe with Edward. But that's how this works a lot of times, is like they'll send you in, for like the lead, and then they'll sort of filter you down to where you actually belong. And then, so I went in for Eric second.
Oh,
which was interesting. Actually, I didn't hate what I brought to Eric, but it was like an SNL character, honestly, or kind of what that part needed. And then eventually we found the right fit with Mike, which I think was, I had more of a kind of a gut visceral connection to that guy, because I kind of was that guy in high school. There wasn't a lot of sort of reaching I had to do there. I knew kind of what I had to bring to that. Yeah, but it was a pretty extensive audition process. I mean, they were very popular books already, so a lot of people were trying to, like, get their clients in this movie. And I mean, I probably auditioned like 6 times, going back and doing chemistry reads and all that stuff. But yeah, eventually we found the pocket with Mike Newton, and I think it worked.
I love that.
Yeah, like I said, I'm glad I was part of it, especially during the time that I was, like, before we kind of knew what the world was going to turn into. There was something, I don't know, interesting and exciting about being on, like, the ground floor of, like, well, what is this new universe we're all kind of entering here? So yeah.
All right, so 2 more questions.
Yeah, please.
Did you keep anything from shooting? Did you keep any of, like, your costumes or your props?
I do have one of the jackets. Yeah.
One of the varsity jackets?
One of the Lettermans, yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's so cool. I love that.
That's awesome.
And then my last question, would you rather have a staring contest with CGI Renesmee or robot Renesmee?
Oh man, this is a real tough one here. Boy, you're saving the hard balls for the end here. My goodness.
I know.
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason I trust robots a little more than CGI. I don't know.
Okay, that's fair. That's totally fair. I get it. All right.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to Robot Renesmee, baby. We'll schedule that for the next time you're on the pod.
Perfect. Oh boy, can't wait.
All right. Well, once again, I would like to take a moment to shout out the amazing, incredible, incomparable Michael Welch for joining us today. It has truly been a pleasure to have you here with us, and hopefully we can have you back again in the future, maybe around the playoffs if the Dodgers make it. So, Michael, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to plug? Where can our listeners find you if they want to follow more of your content?
Well, listen, again, thank you so much for having me. That would be wonderful. I would love to come back. It's, as I said before we started, it's so nice to be able to share some of my baseball opinions with someone other than my dog and my friends who no longer text me back. So anytime, no, I say that lovingly. I mean, listen, I'm screaming into the wind. I have to get these opinions out somewhere, otherwise they fester inside me. I don't need responses.
Well, our DMs are always open, so feel free to
Perfect.
shout them into our void if you will.
Oh yeah, we'll talk baseball all day.
Great.
All day, every day.
I love it. So yeah, and then as far as stuff coming up, yeah, I just if y'all want to follow me on Instagram, Michael Welch Act on Instagram. Whatever I have coming, I'll mention it there. And yeah, just excited about Edwin Diaz and another fun year of Dodger baseball. Can't wait. Pitchers and catchers are going to report before we know it. So the cycle never stops.
Never stops. All right. Well, Glovelies, that's going to do it for this episode of Glove Actually. Once again, thank you to Michael Welch for joining us, and thank you all for listening. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to the Glove Actually podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And be sure to turn on post notifications to stay in the loop when we post new episodes every Wednesday. All right, folks, before we sign off, what are we looking forward to the most this week in the world of baseball? Who do you hope has fun this week? Michael?
Well, I'm going to have fun watching Edwin Diaz. I'm sorry. I'm so excited about this.
Giddy about it. I get it.
I mean, it's so fun. I got to understand, as great as the Dodgers have been, we haven't had like a closer since Kenley Jansen. And the last couple of years of him, we're hit and miss. We played that Timmy Trumpet song for my kids. That was like our favorite song for a while back when he was with the Mets. So, and this is how I broke the news to them. I'm like, hey guys, remember that song Narco by Timmy Trumpet? And they were like, yeah. I was like, that guy's a Dodger now. So that's how I got them excited. I'll tell you, you know what? In all sincerity, who I hope has a good week is Mr. Met. It's been kind of a rough week over there, and I don't like seeing sad Mr. Met. So I hope something good happens to him this week, because losing Alonso and Diaz in the same week is probably not a great feeling. So
I gotcha.
Yep.
Who do you hope has fun this week?
I hope my cat Theodore, our associate producer, has fun this week.
Yep.
He's been popping in and out of this episode a little bit, and has spent, I would say, 30% of it in my lap.
Perfect. He helps me edit. So shout out Theodore.
Nice.
Melissa, who do you hope has fun this week?
Michael kind of like hit on it for me. I hope the New York Mets fans have a good week this week. We're excited as an Orioles fan, but I know that the Mets have lost some very key players, including Edwin Diaz, and they also lost Brandon Nimmo. So I know it's been rough. I've seen a lot of sad Mets fans on Instagram. I hope that you all are having a good week, and just know that that's how we felt back in July at the trade deadline when we lost 9 of our players. And things are turning around for us. So hopefully things will turn around for you too.
Courtney, who do you hope has fun this week?
I hope anyone who landed on a new team has a great week this week as they make the adjustment to uproot themselves and play for their new teams. Can definitely be daunting, but hopefully your contracts are going to make it worth it. All right. Well, this has been Glove Actually. I'm Courtney.
I'm Hallie.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Melissa.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a great week, Glovelies. And as always, be kind, keep it cute, and stay glovely.
Stay glovely.